On an Afternoon Train from Purley to Victoria, 1955, by James Berry. At the time that the poem was set, 1955, Britain was beginning to see the first impact of large-scale immigration from the former colonies of the British Empire, the Caribbean in particular. Berry himself was part of this trail-blazing generation, being amongst the very first migrants to arrive as part of what has become known as the Windrush generation. Therefore, On an Afternoon Train draws on his own experiences as a Jamaican immigrant getting used to the cultural landscape of post-war Britain, and is very likely to be based on a real event. However, despite its 1950s origins, the poem was actually written over 30 years later, indicating the significance of the memory for Berry as he reflected on his past and how Britain has been shaped by the emergence of a more diverse, multicultural society. While sitting in a train carriage, the speaker, an Afro-Caribbean man, is a little surprised to be spoken to by a white woman. Maybe his previous experiences with white people had been tainted by racism, and so it's a little unexpected that a white woman would voluntarily speak with a black man. Alternatively, he may simply be taken aback by a stranger suddenly talking to him. She introduces herself as a Quaker, a Christian group, stating that during worship she felt moved to speak about race equality. It's clear that she is sincere, and in talking to the man is, so to speak, doing her bit to help foster better relations between ethnic groups by following Christ's instruction to love your neighbour. This effort at empathy prompts the man to become thoughtful and reflect on her well-meaning attitude as inspired by God. Two contrasting but linked images come to his mind. His father's banana plantation in Jamaica, and the streets of a city at dawn, perhaps London. These images represent his past and present, and his own journey from the Caribbean to Britain. The dark banana field may suggest that his past is now closed off to him, whilst the empty streets could symbolize a hollowness inside him. Or, given the implications of a new day, more hopefully, a new space for future opportunities. Despite the woman's desire to find a common bond between ethnic groups, there remain some comical misunderstandings on her part, which, whilst displaying a degree of ignorance, do not undermine her good intentions. In fact, the man gently teases her in an amused manner, indicating that he has not taken any offence. He recognises her sincerity and even goes so far as to call her beautiful. By this, Berry likely means that her outlook is attractive because he recognises her good heart and good intentions. At the very end of the poem, the carriage begins to fill up with more people who sit down. Some readers have interpreted this as symbolising how ethnic minorities are crowded out or ignored, but it can also be seen as an inclusive action, with the man being integrated into the community. On the other hand, the people sitting with the man and woman could represent individuals showing solidarity, reinforcing the hopeful sentiment for social harmony that underpins the poem. Moreover, these final lines, along with the title of the poem itself, draw our attention to Berry's use of the metaphor of the train. It is, after all, a mode of transport that is used by a cross-section of society. Furthermore, perhaps Berry is optimistically suggesting that racial harmony is a journey, but one with a common destination. As On an Afternoon Train is concerned about being an outsider or feeling uncertain about your place in society, there are links to be made with poems such as 13, Name Journeys, Like an Heiress, and Pot. Therefore, ideas of identity tie these poems together, and it is telling that each of these poems are also written from the perspective of those who have either experienced prejudice and/or come from a dual heritage background.